Hello YouTube, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Tina and I make videos on lifestyle, home, and DIY projects every single week. First up, I want to say happy Sunday if you're watching this as it goes live. I'm really excited for today's video because I'm doing another Halloween DIY video, and this one is focused on more colorful pieces that you can make for Halloween. So in this video, I have two projects with two items from Dollar Tree, and I really hope that you guys like these ones because they were so much fun to create. One is a little bit easier, and then the second one is a little bit longer to do, but I had so much fun doing it and I know you guys will too. So I'm excited to share it with you guys. So without further ado, let's get into the first project. Hello from VoiceOver Tina. For this first project, I'm using these mini candy buckets from Dollar Tree. These are super perfect because they're already white, so it's going to make a great base. So the first thing I'm going to do is to remove the tiny handles off of these skulls, and since I'm a bit of a perfectionist, I went ahead and sanded down the little raised seams on the surface, and this is totally optional. I'm sure this wouldn't bother most people, so you can totally skip this step if you want. I wanted this project to be pretty colorful, so I'm going to create a brighter color palette, and I'm starting with this light peachy orange color. You can totally spray paint these for a smooth look, but I really wanted to add some more texture and I think it's going to elevate these. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you guys already know the drill. Just add some baking soda to your paint, mix it all up until it's thick, and then apply your first layer. I'm going to repeat this for the other two colors. So I'm going to paint my next skull with a light pink color, and then for the last one, I'm going to do it in a lavender. And when painting these, make sure that it has dried completely before moving on to the second coat. And usually it takes me about 2 coats to get everything nice and even. Alright, so now that everything is dry, you can totally leave these as is, but I wanted to take them up a notch, so I'm going to create some drips with my hot glue gun, and you can use your imagination here. So this kind of looks like blood or wax or even slime, but I think it just adds a lot of fun to an otherwise plain skull. I found the best way to create these drips is to pump the glue at the bottom first, and then it's going to really give you a nice round shape, and then just pull it upwards. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to also make sure that I fill in the gaps in between each one of the lines so that it looks super seamless. And I'm basically just going to repeat this all around the skull. To take it a step further, I'm going to paint one of them with some gold paint on the drips, and I think that this gives it a really cool effect. Although I wanted to mention, since the glue is so smooth, it's a little bit trickier to paint onto this. So alternatively, you can also add the glue right onto the skull first and then spray paint the whole thing so that it has one nice color. But for my gold paint, this took me about 2 coats. The last thing that I'm going to do with this gold painted one is to add a magnet on the back, and I also found these at Dollar Tree. I'm just going to use my hot glue gun with the Gorilla Hot Glue in it. And now it's ready to be displayed on your fridge. These are so cute as fun little planters for your air plants, and I think this would look really awesome if you put a faux tea light inside. So this is super versatile. I also really love how the magnetic version came out, and I think it looks so cute on my fridge. These were just so easy to make, and there's so many different ways that you can build upon this simple project to really make it your own. For this next project, I'm using a foam pumpkin from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to paint it with some white acrylic paint. You can totally choose to use whatever color that you want, but I'm going with something super simple and classic, so I'm just going to paint it with 2 coats of white paint. After that has dried, I'm going to sketch out my missing piece of where the geode crystals are going to come out. So I basically just drew a diagonal line that's super jagged, and then I'm drawing another one coming from the other end to create this guide, and it's kind of like an eye shape, but you can really make this any shape that you want it to be. Next, I'm using my utility knife, which is also from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut it according to the guide. So you can make these cuts really rough since you want it to be super organic, so don't worry about getting it perfect here. And I found that the foam was really easy to cut into, so it was not hard to remove this at all. Depending on what kind of craft pumpkin that you're using, you might not need to do this next step, but since my pumpkin was hollow, I ended up filling it back up with some scrap foam that I had from packages laying around. I basically started gluing in a few of the pieces at the bottom, and then I just built it on by stuffing the whole pumpkin with the styrofoam. I packed in as much as I could until I reached the opening, and that's when I started adding in a little bit more glue so that I could secure the pieces. And once I got to this point, I wanted to make sure that some of the rough edges of the styrofoam was showing. And I think working with this styrofoam was really nice because it kind of looks very similar to rocks and crystals. So the uneven edges are going to be perfect for this. And one last step for this was that I made the centermost part a little bit deeper, so I just cut off a little bit more of the styrofoam. Now it is time to add some color into our pumpkin, so I'm just going to paint the center of the geode with a dark navy blue color, and depending on what color palette you're going with, I would suggest to use the darkest color in the center. Next, I'm going to use a turquoise color around the navy blue, and this is going to give it a really cool layered effect. After doing this, I realized how badly the styrofoam was actually showing through the paint, and I knew that this was not going to look good with the geode in the end. So I ended up creating some baking soda paint with white acrylic paint, so I think this is going to really help it tie in. This is going to look a little bit more like a stone texture, and it really brings everything together. With some of the leftover paint, I mixed in a little bit of turquoise, and I'm just going to roughly brush over some small sections of the pumpkin. This was kind of an experiment because I've seen it on geode cakes before and I thought it looked really good, and doing this really helped achieve a marbled look. So here's how everything is looking after it's dried, and I think this really helped it look way more cohesive. Next, it's time to create some of our sparkly crystals, so I'm using these small vase fillers, which are basically just small broken pieces of glass/mirror, and I think this is going to look perfect. And one thing to note with these is that they're pretty safe to handle with your bare hands, but I would still be super careful when working with these. To adhere them, I'm going to use the Gorilla Hot Glue Sticks, and I'm just going to work in small sections around the painted edge. And with each section of glue, I'm going to add a small amount of the glass filler. And I basically just took a small pinch of it and put it on top of the glue, and I also used some tweezers to move some pieces around. And if there are any pieces that fall in, you can easily just dump them out and continue working section by section. Since these were cleared, this was really easy just to add more glue on top in case you missed any spots. And here's how it's looking so far. I think these look so good, and now it's just time to tie it all together with some touches of gold. And I'm just going to add a thin line of hot glue and then just pouring the glitter right on top of that. And again, I'm working in small sections to get everything into place. I was actually a bit nervous when I was doing this because working with glitter can get super messy, so I was worried that it might stick to the paint as I was pouring it in, and that definitely did happen, but I just fixed it by adding some more paint on top of the glitter. Okay, we are nearing the finish line. It is time to add some gold leaf, and for this I'm just going to use my hot glue gun around the outermost edge. And again, the key here is just to work into small pieces, so I'm adding the gold flakes down in with a brush, and I found that this was the easiest way to adhere it. And already this gold leaf is looking so good in this small section, so I'm just going to continue this along the whole edge. This was actually only my second time working with gold leaf, and there's just something so satisfying about working with it. It really levels up your project, and I really love how it looks. After I laid all of the gold leaf down, I'm just going to press it down with my fingers to ensure that everything is in place. To make the rest of the pumpkin look a little bit more cohesive, I'm going to add gold leaf on top of it. So I'm going to add a super thin layer of the Mod Podge and then just placing the small bits of the gold leaf on top with my fingers. And then here I'm just adding it on super organically, just anywhere that felt right to me until it looked balanced. And lastly, with the pumpkin stem that I took off earlier, we're also going to add some Mod Podge and then gold leaf it until the whole thing is covered. Then I just pop that right into place and my geode pumpkin is complete. This geode pumpkin came out so beautiful, and this project was definitely a journey to create. It was my first time doing anything like this, and I absolutely love the end result. You can customize this to any color and use any other metallic finishes that you would like. It was honestly so much fun to create, and I really hope that you guys try this one out at home. What do you guys think about those two projects? I really love how they came out. I think my favorite definitely has to be the geode pumpkin. It was a little bit tricky for me to figure out, especially since it was my first time creating something like that, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's just so sparkly, and I love that I was able to use some really simple materials to achieve this look. As I mentioned in the tutorial, this was really inspired by geode cakes that I've seen all over Pinterest. So if you're looking to do a different type of style, I would recommend going on Pinterest to figure out what type of color palette you would like to do. do. I've seen these in pink. I've also seen them in like an amethyst purple color, so you can totally make it a darker mood if you want to. But I'm just really happy with this and I love it so much. So previously I said that I was going to make 3 Halloween videos, but I honestly have a bunch more items from Dollar Tree that I would like to make over. So I'm going to come out with another Halloween video and I'm really excited for it. You guys probably already know that because Halloween is such a fun time to get creative. You can really step out of your comfort zone and try out new projects. I'm really glad that you guys are liking this series. I also wanted to include a few projects that you guys have been tagging me on Instagram. They look so good. I'm gonna post them all over this screen. And it honestly just makes me so happy when I get tags on Instagram because that just means that someone out there has been inspired to create something, and that really is the goal of this channel. So thank you guys so much for tagging me and showing me your projects. Don't forget to thumbs up this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I post videos every single week, and my first room makeover is coming this month, so you don't want to miss out on that. Follow me on Instagram if you haven't already. I'm posting on there every single day. And that is it for today's video. I will see you guys on Thursday for my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Stay inspired, and I'll see you next time. Bye!